Entrepreneurship is going to be a journey of self-discovery,
Yes.
of getting to know who you are versus believing who you are. If you think you're strong, you're going to be tested and you're going to understand the level of strength. So it's going to close the gap between the knowledge of self and your perception of yourself.
That's what I've been told. I keep my cool under pressure like a boss. I'm all in, it don't matter what it costs. All I do is win and look good from the top. I am unstoppable.
What's up, good people? Welcome back to Student Entrepreneur Season 2. I am your host, Zeke Wanganga, and I'm a favorite host and favorite storyteller around the city. On this show, we dive into the journeys of successful entrepreneurs to uncover the steps they took to creating and scaling their company, so you can learn and hopefully be inspired to do the same. Let me be clear, on this show, there is no BS. We bring real people with real stories and actionable steps. So listen close as we dive into this one. Our next guest is a tech powerhouse with over 20 years of experience. He's using AI to propel e-commerce business into double-digit growth, taking on giants like Amazon. He is also in the 2024 Launch KC cohort. Speaking of which, shout out to Launch KC for sponsoring this episode. If you are in your early startup stage of your tech startup, you want to level up your business, and also you want to get $50K in funding, go apply to launchkc.org. And now back to the show. Help me welcome to Studio Entrepreneur, the founder of Heft IQ, Learie Hercules. How you doing, boss?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Good, very good.
How's your day been? You know?
I'm busy, very busy.
Very busy?
Yeah, but it's a good day.
It's a good, yeah, it's a bright day out, you know?
I'm 6 feet. I'm not 6 feet below, I'm above. Every day is a good day.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. So for those who do not know what Heft IQ is, can you give us just a brief description of what you do and what your company does?
Sure. If you think about Amazon.com, if you're a brand, you go to Amazon.com.
Yes.
You sell your product on Amazon.com. They handle all the fulfillment. They picking, the packing, the shipping tracking ID, etc., etc.
Okay.
So there's a whole industry of companies that provide that similar service, and an entire industry of transportation carriers like FedEx and UPS.
Yes.
And a lot of brands, if you ever shopped on Amazon.com, sometimes you don't know who's the actual provider of the product. So your brand presence is not there. It's very difficult to grow your brand. And so a lot of companies contract what we call third-party logistics companies, 3PLs, to do the same job Amazon does, and they work with a network of carriers to do the package deliveries, etc.
I see.
And that space is a very busy space. There's 20,000 3PLs, 500,000 warehouses, and a network of carriers that try to mimic the efficiency of Amazon.com, but they lack the tech tools to do so. So Heft IQ, our mission is to become the operating system for the entire supply chain. Whether you're selling on Amazon, or Shopify, or WooCommerce, whether you're supplying a retailer, etc., the brands need tools, tech tools to help them grow. And typically the tools that exist are tools around marketing tech, growing your brand, retargeting. And the major problem is that 50% of your orders are going to be abandoned because the shipping cost is too high. Right? So if you ever ordered something online, it costs $20 and shipping is $10, most likely you're not going to fulfill the order. And so what we do is give brands the tools to say, where should my products be distributed to be fulfilled when an order comes in? Right? So product positioning, order forecasting, how much of my product should I stock?
Gotcha.
And things like that. So all these tools are to ensure that brands grow. When brands grow, the entire ecosystem grows. And so there's a brand-facing product, and then there's a product for the warehousing companies themselves to be able to operate very efficiently because they don't have sufficient technology tools to do so.
So if I'm understanding this, it's not just a logistic part of it, you're also helping them understand what they have in terms of capacity-wise?
Yes.
Technology for that?
Yes, correct. Again, how does Amazon know, hey, you ordered this a month ago, maybe you need to order another one, right? So there's a lot of machine learning, AI algorithms that do that. And we provide those for brands as well.
Okay. So tell me this. So how did you come down to define the problem? What did you do to define this problem that exists in the market?
So I have been a career C-suite executive. My last job was the chief technology officer of a 3PL company.
Okay.
And my mandate was to come in and actually build revenue generating products and products to improve the efficiency of the 3PL.
Okay.
Leveraging my deep experience working in AI, big data, analytics, etc. And so with that mandate, within the ecosystem, there's a rich set of problems to be solved. And I also, I love customer service, so I listened intently to a lot of the customer tickets coming in to discover the pain points and then determining which pain point is a vitamin versus a painkiller.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned AI, because when we think of AI today, we're thinking of the ChatGPTs, but AI has existed even before that.
Correct.
Give us a little bit of a history in terms of how you've been, working with AI in the past compared to where it is now for how we know it.
Sure. So ChatGPT is a chat application on top of what is called a large language model, an LLM. The name of the LLM from OpenAI is GPT.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
General Processing Transformer.
Yes.
So that's the name of their LLM. And there's a whole ecosystem of LLMs. Facebook has done a great job in open sourcing an LLM called Llama.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, they got to Llama 3 and open sourced that to the community. And it's all about AI for good, right? Everyone should have access to AI large language models. But beyond large language models, there's a whole world of supervised learning models versus unsupervised learning models. So if you think about spam, if you have Gmail, how does it determine what is spam and what is not?
What's not? Yeah.
That's an example.
That's AI. Okay.
Right. If you think about, you go to Amazon, you search for toothpaste, it's going to recommend a product. So there's a similarity search algorithm as well.
Okay.
So a lot of the things we see are AI driven, but we don't know.
We don't. Yes.
It's seamless, and I love that as well, right?
Yes.
Technology should enable the human seamlessly, not be in front of the human.
Yeah.
Right. If you think about Uber and DoorDash, and positioning of drivers based on anticipated demand, that is another example.
That's AI. And it's crazy. I feel like what I think ChatGPT and the OpenAI and everything is doing now is kind of bringing AI to the forefront, where I feel like a lot of bigger companies have been using it behind the scenes already. We just using it, they didn't understand what's going on, but it's already in the system. Yeah,
it's been around a long time. I myself been doing it in 2011, building.
Oh, wow.
Data products, AI products.
Yes.
I have a patent in 2017, an AI patent as well.
Wow, okay.
Right? So it has been around a long time.
Yes.
I've worked with products built with LLMs. This week we've done a soft launch of a chat GPT integration. So now you can chat with your warehouse systems.
Wow, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Right. And we enabling voice as well.
Okay. Oh, wow, okay. So with that, I want you to speak to that a little bit more. So when you say you are integrating AI to solving these problems, what does that look like, in terms of an Amazon or someone who's trying to fulfill their shipment? How does that work? And how do you use AI to make sure you integrate a process to make it easier and faster for them?
Sure. So there's generative AI, right? And large language models fall under that. The ability to interact with a system in natural language.
Okay.
And the ability for this system to respond to you in natural language. So that's the capability itself.
Yes.
And understanding natural language, there's some underlying technologies to be able to do that. Now, what that effectively does, it allows, and then the large language model itself has reasoning ability, which is a emerging capability of large language models, the ability to reason. So if I say, hey, the weather has been sunny for the last 3 days, this is the temperature, what do you think the temperature is going to be tomorrow? And it's able to reason. So there's some reasoning capabilities. And the reasoning capabilities, together with the natural language understanding, unlocks a whole set of use cases. The ability to ask a natural language question of some underlying application that contains data. Right? So if I was today integrated with, let's say, your Gmail calendar, then I should be like, when am I free tomorrow AM to do a 30-minute meeting? I should be able to book.
Find it for you.
Right?
Okay.
But there needs to be a stitching together of systems to unlock that capability.
Yeah. Shout out to KC SourceLink for sponsoring this episode. If you're a business owner looking to find resources to grow your business, definitely go to kcsourcelink.org and get the info. To a layman's term, which is I'm the layman. It's like I think the most I've gone into programming is like programming behind Excel, like doing if not that statements, right? That's more technical, but it's like using English words to tell a computer to do something for you, as opposed to imputing AI, if not, whatnot, and ones and zeros.
So we leverage large language models to generate code as well.
Yes.
Right? So if it is that you want to execute some task and there's a known process to do that, some AI is probably going to do that. The human level of reasoning right now is higher. The large language models, the width, the breadth of reasoning, because it's been trained on a larger set of text and data than we have as humans, has a broader context. But in terms of specific things and spaces and domains, humans have a lot of domain expertise. However, large language models, through its reasoning ability, is continually learning. And the rate of learning exceeds the rate of human learning.
I see. Okay.
Right? So,
okay.
Right? So from the age of 7 to the age of 14, you might consume 200 books and have a certain level of reasoning along certain topics.
Topics, yes.
But a large language model, right? There's trillion parameter models now, trained on a wider body. It has the breadth to reason and be a decent general purpose human.
Yes, for everything.
When it comes to knowledge, right? And so traditional careers that were based on knowledge, the acquisition of knowledge workers, are at risk of replacement by this large language model
that can be able to process information as faster than you can even be able to think
more
about.
information.
Yes.
And reasoning ability. So I see the society going to have to shift how we think about certain careers and certain jobs. Right? I'm on the board of UMKC, the analytics program, and we're looking at the curriculum for data analytics, etc. Because the bulk of it can be done by a large language model.
True.
That's how we do our thing as well.
Okay. So let me ask you this for Heft IQ. Who is your target audience and how did you come to that target? How did you get to the target audience?
Working in supply chain. I've been studying. I'm a diligent student of life. So I've been studying supply chain since 2019. And making calls, talking to vendors, talking to companies, and just learning the space so that when you start a company, you want to get to the deeper problems to be solved. And the only way you're going to do that is when you become a practitioner. And to become a practitioner, you have to work in it, feel it, understand the human psychology behind why things are being done, to be able to shift, one, how it's being done, and two, the humans who may have to interact with the thing and the psychology of their interaction with the thing is a key piece of it.
So, and I definitely want to come to your experience, but I do want to ask this. Who pays you money? How does this make money?
Brands pay us. 3PLs. Warehousing companies pay us. As of today.
Right. So then go into your experience, because I know, there's a lot of individuals who want to start a company, maybe they're still working in a job. And for you, you were a C-suite for so long, and you understand the industry so well. What step did you take from being a C-suite to be able to start your own company and become successful? How did you get into that? Because I know you didn't jump off, you took a step by step.
Have a some funding runway. Most importantly.
Yes.
Else stay in your job, do it on the side. Have some funding runway. You're going to need certain skill sets that you may not possess. And so getting someone to come work for you is an exercise in trust, right? Because most likely they may have a job as well. They may work with you part-time. It's an exercise in trust. And so trust is built over a longer period of time with a value exchange occurring over that period of time.
Gotcha.
And so if you're going to step out of a job to start something, if I was to give you $2 million because you stepped out today, now you need to hire 5 people. You might not know how to get the 5 people. Why should I come work for you?
Yeah.
I don't know you like that.
I see. Okay. So for you, when you say funding, do you mean saved up money?
Saved up money.
From your own pocket before going in?
Yep.
Okay.
Get some skin in the game.
Yes.
That will force you to be serious about, do you really want to do this? Or is this a hobby?
Okay.
If it's a hobby, do it after work on the weekends. If it's not a hobby, you gotta be all in. Skin in the game.
Okay. So how do you get to all in though? For you personally, are there some books you read, classes you took, some resources you used to get you to becoming that? What plan you have to have for this? What did you steps you take in terms of things you did to be able to be all in that?
Understanding your purpose. A class wouldn't prepare you, a book wouldn't prepare you. Understanding your purpose. And so entrepreneurship is going to be a journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
Of getting to know who you are versus believing who you are. If you think you're strong, you're going to be tested and you're going to understand the level of strength. So it's going to close the gap between the knowledge of self and your perception of yourself. And to be able to sustain the paradigm shifts across your identity, you have to ensure that what you're doing is aligned with your overall purpose in life. Because the challenges, they don't stop. You can get to $100 million company. It won't stop.
Yes.
200 million, it won't stop.
True.
So you have to ensure that, number one, your identity is not so tightly tied to the thing you do, but rather the why. And the why may be sometimes you go through life to learn something, to come out on the other side in some new space as well. It might not be, this needs to succeed. That's not a purpose. That's not what you're doing.
Yeah. So for you, how did you define your purpose and the why? How do you define that? How did you get to that realization?
It's been many years since I've been very young. I give credit to my mom, my dad, my parents, my family.
Yes.
And I've been the beneficiary of their wisdom, and I've always seek their wisdom.
Yes.
And so history as well. I've always been a student of history because history gives a context. It gives a context of how you got here, why you're here.
Exactly.
And what needs to happen with you. And sometimes we have opportunities to shape what the future looks like, some of us, right? And for me, I think I have the opportunity to help shape what the future looks like, particularly for the groups I have a big affinity to, young people and the elderly. Right? The elderly, all your masks and barriers come down because you've seen it all.
Yes.
And the young, they have a bright outlook of the world and just so optimistic and driven because they're still in the discovery of the world. And so the ability to impact their view of the world, I think it's a blessing I have, and that's what keeps me going.
So going back to that, who was a young Hercules? What did young Hercules want to do? What was that like for you? What was that?
I didn't want to do, I wanted to see. I wanted to experience the world and see some different things. I wanted to meet a lot of people who didn't look like me. I came from a culture where the majority of people look like me. I wanted to see other people, understand their own perspectives on life. I used to see tornadoes in America. We don't have tornadoes in the Caribbean. And then after a tornado, people be like, we'll rebuild. I'm like, wow, right? And in Trinidad and Tobago, nothing really happens. There's no hurricanes. It's a very nice life.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, they look very resilient. What is it? Let me go kind of figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
So I came to America in 2001 as a consulting engineer, and like, let me see what's going on, right? And so I think fundamentally we all humans, and our outlook is shaped by our environment, and then there's an opportunity as we become adults to close the gap on what is a projection and what is reality, right? And when you close that gap, I think it gets you to a level of contentment and peace.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch up on what is reality versus what you think is actually happening. But can you dive deeper into you moving here in 2001? What was that like for you?
So I moved to America in 2001.
Yes.
Yeah,
not Kansas City. Not Kansas City. America 2001.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that experience for you? Having to come where you wanted to be at. What was that for you? What was that experience going through that growth process?
So I've always been, when I came, I was already grown, my 20s. My identity was already formed. I had my own view of the world. I came from a majority culture. And then moving here, majority cultures come with a set of outlooks. And I had the same outlook, but I looked different. But, through TV, I saw people, Hollywood. I saw people who didn't look like me. I was fine. But getting to the reality was a nice experience for me. I would live in New York. I saw people speaking, and then I would hear like, where are you from? You have an accent. They're like, oh my God, I have an accent here. Oh, I'm from Georgia, right? And they're trying to mask their accents because they're from Georgia or they're from Kansas, right?
Yes.
And they moved to New York City. And this masking of humans trying to fit in, I saw a lot of that existing even here in America, and a lot of subcultures in America. So for me, I'm just another one, right? And I've always been comfortable with who I am. So for me, it wasn't about assimilating into something to be validated and accepted, because I already was at a state of acceptance, right? So for me, it was more around discovering other people, discovering the world, and then ensuring that I challenge myself, because one of the reasons I moved to America is to challenge myself beyond my current level.
Yes.
Right? I was an excellent engineer, telecom engineer. I did the Y2K plan for my entire country. The only non-executive was a young boy, so I'm a very excellent engineer. But how do you become the best in the world? You have to go where the best is, right? So for me, it was like, okay, I want to be the best in the world. Let me go where the best is, right? So I was very driven along that. All the other things, it's just discovery and the icing and, just having fun. But I'm very driven about that, right? And then ensuring that the kids that I interact with see that it is possible, right? Which is a big piece, because when I was 14, I met my mother's boss, Dr. Stephen Gift, and he challenged Einstein's theory of relativity, and he was in magazines, and I asked him, I was like, could you do that? You from this little island? He's like, yeah, you can do that. So at 14 years old, I knew that there was a global impact you can reach, because I saw it physically and touched and talked with him. So for me, I try to make myself as accessible as possible to kids and just people in the environment to ensure that they understand that, you focus, you stay driven, and you can do that. You can impact the world. You can shape the world versus learning and adopting and being shaped by the world. You can shape the world.
Where does that start though in you shaping the world? Is you finding that why, that purpose, right?
Yeah.
How do you cultivate yourself? For me, the reason why I ask is I feel like your environment plays a big role in that. Like who you have around with you. Did that affect you in any way, or were you just, I'm driven, it doesn't matter where I'm at or who I'm with or what I'm seeing, I'm driven? Or what had an influence in you becoming that person who is not shakeable or does not conform to what's around them?
How do you grow a big tree? Soil,
Yes.
fertilizer,
Yes.
water, air, and care. Same thing. Soil, what do you nourish your body with? Right? Water, hydration, exercise,
Yes.
sleep. I'm an avid reader. I love to read, and I love to write, because reading is insufficient to test your understanding, right? There's knowledge you can consume, but wisdom is the knowledge you create. And you can't create wisdom unless you've processed what you've consumed.
Yeah.
Right? So I think writing is very important. And reading, but when you read, you don't read as, okay, this is the truth. You read, and you read a wide variety of things, because your brain is this organ that is able to consume different things and will put together things that are seemingly unrelated into something that is real. And that's creation.
Okay.
Right? So some people, and I've had PhD students report to me, and they've studied something very specific, but then there are things they can't think themselves out of. Right? So it's really important to just consume. If someone tells me, hey, I do plumbing, I'm like, plumbing, okay, tell me about PVC, and okay, the alloys they use, they're still using it. I want to know everything.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's like, we talk about LLMs and GPTs and 7 billion parameters and how many parameters of data. Your brain is the same organ, same instrument. But we get to a comfort level where we think the education system teaches us this thing called success is defined by these checklists. Check the boxes, and when you check sufficient boxes, you've reached a place called success. And then we relax and we go through life, and life is over. Just the end.
Straight. I think for me, you speaking about that, I think is very important, just because, being able to have not just a narrow ideology of what life is. Because for me, I graduated finance, but I do storytelling, I do videography, right? And while I was doing an event here actually at Keystone, there was a panel about AI, right? And that kind of started sparking my enthusiasm. It's like, what can AI do for you, right? In that session, I started writing out, like, what can I use AI for? Like, 'cause it's one thing to just consume AI, but what can you use AI to produce, right? Which, fast forward 5 months later, we are working on an app that can help immigrants find resources, connect to jobs, right? But in the same sense of, do not let your mind just be narrow. Because you're doing one thing doesn't mean you have to just be doing that.
Yeah.
Be aware of your environment and what's going around, because you don't know what the next thing is going to come from.
Yeah.
In your industry, have you seen that play out for you in terms of you working in something, but then some topic came up that actually became something that you were really interested in or passionate about?
That's how I came up with my patent. We're talking about something, and I thought about it in another way and discovered another thing. Right? So that's why I love conversations.
Yes.
Particularly with just people who look different, have different experiences, life experiences, everyone. Because I love ideation. That gives me joy. But in work, I try to create the same environment where people come in and have fun. Because life could be short, right? Life is full of paradoxes, long and short. Have fun. We're here for a time. Nurture your dreams. Work on your self-development.
Yes.
As a person, a human being, and go try some things and discover some things.
I know you mentioned coming to the U.S. as a majority in that mindset, because I think that's what happens, especially me coming from Nigeria. I had that same mindset, like, I'm coming from a majority country where I'm majority, so regardless of what's happening, I know who I am and where I belong, right? I think, is that what made you to have so much confidence? Like, I could do this regardless. It doesn't matter what's going around, but I can stand out for myself, right? Because for me, it was there's always this, you're able to fit in or you're able to accent above whatever's going on. So for you, was that kind of like what made you give you that, inspiration to be able to be so successful in the industry you're in?
My mom.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom didn't fit in.
Yeah,
in a lot of different species. And she did a lot. So my bar is very high. So if I consider what she's done with what she had and what I've done with what I have, I still have way more. So she's always been that type of person, and having access to her, being her offspring, I think is like the greatest blessing ever. So I'm just very blessed. And she extended herself to the community and everything else too. So it's not our mom, it became the whole country's mom. And so same thing I want to do. I want to live a life where, I extend that blessing to everyone.
So is that your legacy then, is extending your knowledge and what you've learned?
Not the knowledge, they're extending how you execute your purpose, right? If you think about fasting, how you execute fasting is important. Because if you roll around, no one would want to fast, right? And fasting has its purpose and its peace. So the how you execute is very important. It's not so much the what. How, when you come from work and things don't go your way, and you get home to your family, how you deal with that is important, because the kids are looking at you to see how you're dealing with challenges.
True.
So the how is the important piece, not the what. They won't remember the what.
That's a really good segue to my next question. Talking about how you deal with situations, because being a founder, dealing with family, even dealing with your own personal issues, dealing with bills, how do you center yourself in all these chaos that's happening to still get focused and still be motivated to be productive in whatever field you are in?
I have a routine, right? So my day is very routine most days. And I do the same thing in the morning. I don't jump off of bed and I don't roll around in the bed trying to get up, right? I get up in the morning and I pause and I feel the day, right? And I can feel the day. Today's gonna be a rough day. I said, okay. but at some point, the day's gonna end. Yeah. So like, okay, today's gonna be a rough day. All right.
How do you feel today? Tell me, how do you feel it's gonna be a good or a bad day? How do you feel it? Like, what do you do? Like, do you smell it? Like, oh, that smells bad. That's gonna be a bad day.
No, there's no good and bad day. Like I said, a good day is your life. It's always a good day.
Okay, go ahead.
So it may be a rough day because you have some challenges that you need to deal with.
Gotcha.
It's still a good day.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Okay.
And you know the day will end.
Yes.
So there's a finite time to end the rough.
Good perspective. Okay.
Right? So you say, okay, and you just roll with it. You just roll with the day. And when you get through the day and you wake up the next day, you give thanks for being alive to do it another day. That's it. As simple as that.
Yeah. Do you keep tabs with your mom and family? What is that?
Every day. I'm very close with my family. And we have these type of conversations all day, every day.
Yeah. Because for me, the reason, especially in being Nigerian, family is a huge thing for me. It's like whatever I'm doing is for them, just because I know there is a village looking up to me.
Yeah.
Whether I know it or not, I know that someday some kid is gonna be like, hey, I have an uncle who lives in the US. What is that uncle doing? So it's always giving back to give knowledge.
Yeah.
How do you do that? For you been in the industry for being a success, how do you give back?
So we have a data science group that we mentor a lot of students through. We ran coding camps. We ran an incubator since 2015.
Wow.
Self-funded.
Wow.
Right. And I'm on the board of Tech Beach, a tech conference we have every year in Jamaica, December.
Wow.
As well.
I gotta come to Jamaica. Give me an invitation. I want to pull up.
Yeah. So I do a lot and kind of stagger it. I think the next episode in life gonna be around the elderly.
Okay.
I'm at the top, that's 1, not 2 or 3. This real life, baby, don't make believe. I just make it look easy like ABC. I'm on it 24/7, 25/8. I just pick up the pace and I violate. I eat it all.
A lot of our viewers here are probably early stage founders, right, who want to be able to raise funds. What have you found to be the most effective way to either tell your story or ways to go about raising fund or capital for your company?
Sure. In the current environment, I would say angels.
Okay.
VCs, LPs, GPs, there's some compression going on in this funding space.
Okay.
And it's been exacerbated because of LLMs and generative AI. Because imagine you are a VC and you have a portfolio who may be disrupted by Gen AI.
Yeah.
Same thing with private equity.
True.
And so there's a hesitancy now around deploying that large set of capital unless it's towards the traditional and foundational model companies, OpenAI, Cohere, Mistral, etc. and the infrastructure layer, foundational models, will have maybe a few players, right? Maybe have 2 closed source, 2 open source. But then there's a huge opportunity in the middle for the application side of
Okay.
it, and a little bit of infrastructure.
Okay.
A lot of startups come on the application side, but you have to really be careful that Gen AI could, 1, automate the problem you're solving, and 2, flatten the competitive moat for someone else to do what you do. And so it's a very shaky time in terms of funding.
Okay.
And I think the best source now, it's angel rounds, family and friends angel round, angel syndicates.
So when you say just a little bit more and you say some founders go to the application part instead of the technical part, what do you mean by that when you say application?
Sure. So someone would say, hey, I have an idea, I want to build an app. That's not sufficient. I can build an app in 2 days.
Yeah, okay,
Now
yeah.
you have a problem. Right? So the idea is the very start of something. It's not the majority of it. Building an app is a delivery mechanism. So when you say build an app, I know like, okay, you've not fundamentally understood the problem space you're in. You're thinking about delivering something, right? An app and on a website, there's the delivery mechanism of some value, right? So the application is what you interact with, the screens.
Yes.
All the back-end things and the delivery of the value, it's the majority of the value that an investor would look at, right? And I used to do a lot of angel investing. And I would look and understand the problem space and the back-end infrastructure and the architecture. Can this thing scale over time? Or could it scale to a point where I could connect them with the resources as well?
Yes.
Right? But the user interface stuff evolves over time. And so when somebody says, I want to build an app, I'm like, because there's a difference between building an app and there's a difference between building a company,
Yes.
a business,
True.
right? So that's my advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, I believe the same thing is you're solving a problem, not building an app. It's like, have you talked to the target audience? Have you talked to the people who are involved in this? How do you find that problem? I'm glad you made it more specific. Like an application is a way to give the solution, not the solution.
Yes.
It is a way to give the solution.
Yes.
And I want people to focus on that and being able to find out what the problem is and how you solve it.
Yes.
And how you build a business behind that. How do you scale it?
And quantify the problem. Is it a vitamin? Is it a painkiller? Is it something someone wants solved, but they don't want to pay for it? Or is it something they want to pay to get solved? 2 fundamentally different things.
Key. That's key. No, that's really key. So I do want to, do you think though you being an angel investor a little bit gave you a little bit of an insight when you started yours?
I've done VC training as well through 500 startups, because you need to understand what happens on the next side and the thesis of the people you're approaching for funding.
Exactly.
What is their thesis? So you need to understand the game you're playing. I can't be a point guard and not understand rebounds. You need to know the game.
Yes.
You're playing the space, become a practitioner. So you need to understand the mind of a VC, the mind of an angel, the mind of your family and friends,
Exactly.
the risk tolerance, right? The mind of your customers, etc. So yeah.
What would you say is one thing you wish you had known before you started Heft IQ, business-wise, structure-wise, or application-wise, in your entrepreneur journey?
Learnings will come. So you wish you had known. It's nothing like that. When you discover it, you handle your business. You handle your business.
Like you said, it might be a rough day, but the day is going to end too.
Yes. You handle your business.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So even if you don't know a lot of things and you're going along and you have resilience and you learn, you'll get there. You'll get it for sure. A lot of people are not the most talented, but the people who are consistent.
Yeah.
Over a long period of time, they get there. So it's really about putting yourself out and then learning. It's not so much knowing, because the things we think we know, we don't know because we never tried.
Yeah.
So that is a belief.
True.
Two differences.
True. As we're coming towards the end of the show, I want to ask more of a personal question for me, because I know, like being a Nigerian immigrant in Kansas City, right? There can be this siloed mindset of, I'm an immigrant, I'm going to go find immigrants, instead of going to where the ecosystem is at. How did you navigate? For me, it was me going through college, going to UMKC, which is a school here in the city, helped me be able to build my network. But at the same time, I wasn't just taking classes. I was doing interviews like this with entrepreneurs who were in the city. So that was my outlet to be able to go into the ecosystem. How did you navigate being in the entrepreneurship ecosystem or professional? How did you navigate just being an immigrant who was an outsider to becoming, knowing yourself and knowing your value and worth, but being able to influence and impact and be part of the community entrepreneurship space?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a fair answer to other immigrants moving in, because I've been here a while.
Yes.
I've lived on the East Coast, lived in Silicon Valley, built a lot of stuff, won awards. So when I got here, I just got plugged into the ecosystem. Became a mentor at Techstars.
Okay.
Presented a demo day, was on a panel.
Sweet.
So it's not really a fair
You had a
question.
So how did you do the work before? Because that's
Correct.
where
It's a long trajectory of work and building capacity. I have a acronym I use: performance, influence, exposure. A lot of people over-index on performance, and they under-index on influence and exposure. Pie. Right? So if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll be like, oh, wow. Right?
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
our level of influence and being able to connect with people in spaces and add value, and your level of exposure is super important. So I'm not typical.
Yeah. You had experience. You got some skin in the game.
I've been working a long time, building capacity.
Yes.
People reach out to LinkedIn, it's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Help me navigate from going from a director VP. How do I get to VP? I tell them the same thing. You're over-indexing on performance. You're like, I'm going to be the best worker and I'm going to get promoted. That's not how it works. Do you understand where your company is going? Do you understand the levers? Do you know the importance of the things that need to occur? Could you add value there? Are you visible for the work you do? There's a whole set of things to move in up the corporate ladder, not I'm going to work the hardest, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to get the best evaluation every year, and then they will promote me. That's not how it works.
You add value and promotion or whatever comes with it.
Do you understand the space you're in? Do you understand the competitor space? Do you understand the tactics that's going on? Could you add value that way? They're like, oh, I see what's happening.
Yeah.
Could you reach out to someone? Hey, I see you work at this company. Can we chat a little bit? So what do you all do there? Right? So we had to build capacity. And the capacity building is particularly more pertinent and relevant for immigrants, because immigrants naturally don't have a network that they grew up through.
Yes.
So you have to put in the work over a period of time. So I would say to anyone in general, and then immigrants in particular, you have to put in the work. And the work is not about trying to be accepted and validated. It's not about that. It's about finding spaces where you can add value and there's an exchange of value and maintaining the relationship. It's not about the validation. Because the validation thing, at some point, you want to play your own music, right?
Yes.
But you never played music. You only dance to someone else's songs. Right? So at some point, you have to find your spaces and have people connect you with other people. and build a value exchange.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's so valuable. I was in a meeting, I think it was yesterday, and the person I was meeting was telling me that they traveled to China for 8 days. And for the first time, they're American, they realized what it meant to be an immigrant. Because now they have to figure out how to read the signs, how to say hello to people and find where they're going. And until you're put in those shoes to start from zero, you can really understand what a struggle is.
And I'll tell you one more thing. When you come from a majority culture, you have to develop a different set of senses to identify who's good and who's bad because everyone looks the same.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a certain element of physical attributes that people ascribe behaviors and a whole set of things
Yes.
and see through a lens. And until you're put in a situation where, oh, I went to China, but everyone looks the same. So how do I know who's bad and who's good? Because I'm sure China has prisons. So, right? So now you have to become a little more aware of other human attributes
Yes.
that typically
Exactly.
people here use.
Yes.
Right? And so as an immigrant, you've probably consumed a lot of Hollywood. And your perception is all of America is like Hollywood.
Reverse is the case.
Right? And then and then you're like, but hold on. And then my brother came on vacation and saw a homeless white person. Like, what?
It's different.
He never imagined, right? And so, as an immigrant coming, sometimes you may not fit into certain groups, but you too have to be able to understand and become aware of the person themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in a majority culture, you can take people for granted because you don't have to do that work. Right? You're in a familiar environment, the people you went to school with, whatever, your neighbor, you don't have to do that work. You don't even know what the work sometimes look like. But as an immigrant, you have to do the work of figuring out, okay, this person good, this person bad,
Yes.
what's happening, what, right? And you do the work. But that work actually gives you like superpowers, funny enough, because it builds that
Yes.
muscle of awareness.
Yes, it does.
You're going to become aware of your own self,
Exactly.
your own behaviors, the people around you.
Exactly.
You start reading the room. It arms you with superpowers, but only if you understand it's a superpower and you don't devalue it
Exactly.
as a way of you trying to assimilate. If you don't put it in the assimilation bucket and you put it in superpower bucket, countries built by immigrants. Who founded Google?
Yes.
Countries founded
Yes.
by immigrants.
Yes.
Because immigrants, being a majority culture, you have a certain level of comfort. An immigrant, you come very hungry,
Yes.
right?
Got zero.
So you come with some things that if you are conscious and put to work, life looks very different.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with you so much just because, like, I think you said so many key things is, one, I believe strongly that until you fail and get up again, you don't really understand what you're doing wrong. And I don't, failure is a negative word, but the way I say it is, you have to make mistakes to understand where you're going wrong in, right? Until you analyze what's going on, you don't really know what your weakness is. And what your weakness is might actually be a strength of yours, right?
Yeah, so language, you gotta be very careful because you will use those words on yourself as well, right? So language, I study etymology, right? Root of words, language.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, very important
Yes.
because the words you're programmed to use when you're home by yourself, your mind will use the words on yourself. So there's certain words I don't even use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So things like failures and mistakes and all this other stuff, when you're 2 years old, and let's say 1 year, and you're learning to walk, there's no concept of those words.
Yes.
None. It's just what it is.
It's a summary of all your life
You're just
experience of
discovering,
what you've heard.
when I do this, then, I slip. Oh, when I do this, there's a process of discovery,
Yeah.
right? And neural networks in AI does the same thing. It discovers what works and what doesn't work, right? There's reinforcement learning. You say, okay, not that, not this. But that's how because it's modeled
Exactly.
on brain, right? So the language is super important to understand the construction of the words you use. I go to etymologyonline.com and you put in the words, and a lot of words you use It's not what you think it means.
I'm gonna have to go search that myself. I'm gonna have to go look this up myself. Hercules, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I wanna say, for me personally, I think I've learned a couple of things today. I think one is when you're building a company, don't start with the application first. Start with a problem and find a solution to that problem. And then when you're going into an environment, don't try and assimilate yourself to fit in. Come with your own value.
Man, humans are beautiful.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Humans are beautiful.
Yes. Come with your unique.
Why wouldn't you want someone to discover you?
Yes. Don't blend in. Be your unique self and show out that way. And I think the last and most important one is, even if it's a rough day, that day's gonna end. So I'm gonna take that with me. So Hercules, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And I hope someone out there is watching and get inspired and be able to learn. And see us in this episode. I don't say too much. Just subscribe, share, whatever you gotta do. Host Zeke Wanganga, and I'm gonna see you guys around.
Yeah, appreciate it.